Hey, what's going on, everybody? BDF 44 coming at you with another video. All right, so I got some clarification in regards to my unemployment claim. Basically, the way the state of California works is that you have to have worked between a certain period with the company that you're filing for. In order for the company that you're filing for to pay, you would have had to work between certain months. So the way that my situation falls, the very last company that I work for is not yet eligible to pay me unemployment because they haven't begun. I guess I didn't work there long enough, which doesn't really make any sense because I was there for about a year. But apparently, it would automatically fall back to Universal Protection Services. So of course, I have to apologize for calling that lady stupid on this camera for making a mistake. That was not a mistake. She did what she was supposed to do. So I make sure I make that right. I don't remember what I called her, but I wasn't happy. In a fit of frustration, I was saying she did some stupid stuff, that she did her job properly. So that's what I have to own on here. So at least I got some clarification. I am officially not going to be able to get unemployment for my situation. It just is what it is, man. You get to a point where you feel like the walls are closing in on you in regards to your situation. And so anybody who's following me as far as the therapy sessions that I've been doing on here, situations are just continuing to get worse. And, it just is what it is. I think at the end of the day, there's just not a lot of room for a person like myself to really make it out here. Like, honestly, it's not meant for me to make it, because at the end of the day, I'm too stressed and too sick mentally to work, but I can't seem to get around the fact that I need to be somewhere employed. And that's just what it is. If you don't work, you don't eat. That is the slogan, and that is what I'm living through. Unfortunately, every time I try to go to work, it gets to a point where I just can't do it anymore, and I end up not professional, not very engaged, not very, my attitude always remains high because my personality is that of somebody who's good with people for the most part. Obviously, I talk a certain way so people can understand what I'm saying, and so I work well with customer service, but I hate it on the inside. My spirit, my mind, it just goes into a bad place, as you guys already know if you've been following me. So I've been trying to avoid this, holding my AMC shares, hoping that they will do what they're supposed to do to put me in a position to kind of buy myself some time to get some real help. And it's just, in dealing with what we're dealing with, it's continuing to bleed out. Even today, we're down. Yesterday, we were down. We're fighting corruption, man. I don't know what to tell you as far as what I'm doing. It's like you have to keep working in order to hold your shares. And if not, your shares are going to be something you have to pick out of in order to live. And so it's like, after a whole year of this, I'm still holding my shares because I know what I own, and I know it's not responsible to take care of short-term situations with it as it pertains to throwing away long-term investments that are worth what this could and should be worth. My car, that whole situation, I think I have like 10 days to try to figure out if I want to bring the car back. Now, you guys know I've made the decision not to, but now that it seems like I have to go back to work, it would probably be best to try to get that car. So I don't have any solution for my situation just yet, but at least I have some clarity as to what it is I'm dealing with. And then from there, I just gotta, lace up my bootstraps, as they say, and fight my mind and get some money in my pocket, just like everybody else. I'm not better than anybody. Not you, not them, not they. I'm just in a space where, I'm just the type of brain that just doesn't work well in these situations. That's all it is. At the end of the day, you start talking about people going crazy, going postal on jobs and stuff like that. People going into a space where, they no longer can do the job mentally and professionally. I'm not saying I'm that person, but I am saying I'm at a space where every time I end up trying to work, I end up getting to a space that's not good for me. It becomes unhealthy. And that's no excuse. I don't imagine that you have to eat. You know what I mean? You just got to find it in yourself to love not struggling more so than you hate doing what it is that you have to do professionally. And I just haven't found a way to convince myself of that. When I was working that job I last had, it was fine for some days. Some days it was really good. But most days I just felt bad, empty, unhappy, like deeply unhappy. And I think the reason of that is a combination of things, but one of them is just because I know I'm a creative, I'm an artist, you know what I mean? And it got to a point where at the job I had, I couldn't really focus on anything. I was trying to keep my channel going, so I would dip off into stairwells and get that process going, and then a boss will come in doing their job correctly and tell me to turn off my phone and get back to work. And it's like I I don't want to. I literally don't want to be here. I'm not getting paid when I'm supposed to be paid. And my personality is that of somebody who just kind of doesn't choose to do anything other than what he wants to do. Now that's a bad way to go. You don't want to be raised that way. You don't want to raise your kids that way. You don't want to put yourself in a position to get those type of habits when it's time to really make it in life. Because at the end of the day, you end up getting to a point where you have no choice. The walls start closing in on you, bills start hitting you, and all you can do is what you love to do because that's what you've been doing, or rather, that's all you allow yourself to do. So I'm disappointed, not necessarily in myself, I guess. I've come to stop doing that, you know what I mean, as it pertains to this problem, because I've had it my entire life. It was the same way when I was in school as a child, you know what I mean? I would not go. And it was the same way as I found myself as an adult in one of my previous apartments. When my mother got diagnosed with cancer, I couldn't really bring myself to go to work. For whatever reason, I just couldn't. I was in the same space I'm in right now, where it's a tug of war between my consciousness and my circumstances. And, I wasn't winning that battle. And I ended up getting evicted, and I couldn't stop it. Like, I literally could not bring myself to make the right decision for nothing. And I don't believe myself to be a person who's trying to destroy himself. You know what I mean? I don't think that's necessarily the plan or the intent. But it's just, for whatever reason, I think it's psychological. And as I've said in this camera many times, I think it has something to do with some of the traumas that I went through before I was really able to really grasp what it was I was going through. So my natural inclination, I'm thinking, is to just shut down and shut off. And though my consciousness is like, okay, we need to do this, we need to move, a good portion of the time, that same consciousness is keeping me down and telling me that, if everything gets worse, we can just end life. And there's no reason to face the stresses that you're running from at any point. Just do what you want to do, and at the end of the day, if it doesn't work out, you can die. And I never kill myself. I end up usually facing consequences and end up getting a job anyway. But I think the difference is right now, it's like, it's really my responsibility to hold my shares at AMC, as somebody who believes in the cause or believes in what I'm doing. You want to build your position, but you also want to hold the position you have. And as it continues to bleed out, there's just no way to do so while maintaining my most basic needs. So, you go into this camera and you try to talk your way through it, but at the end of the day, I'm telling you, it's like, this has to be a mental illness. It has to be. This has to be something that is beyond just making simple decisions, because no one in their right mind is going to allow their situation to deteriorate, especially in their consciousness, fighting their own consciousness to make it happen. So I really don't know what the solution is for myself, but I'm just glad that I'm able to describe it to you all. You know what I mean? As to say, I believe in working. I believe in the fruit of working. I've worked before. I've worked security positions for 10 years. And a lot of those times they end the same way, but the most important thing to say is that I did them. I have experience doing this. I've trained in various ways to make sure that I was a good enough professional. And, I just wish that my consciousness or whatever this is would get out of the way so I can get back to what it is I need to do to keep myself alive. You know what I mean? To keep my situation going, to pay off my debt, to build my position, however long this takes. I believe in hard work. I believe in that. I think that every man, if I had a son, I would raise him to be proactive in fixing the situation. You know what I mean? So with all of that being said, I'm not sure how to initiate within myself those principles and those things. You know what I mean? It's frustrating, man. It's so frustrating because I grew up having low self-esteem because of these issues. It's like, well, obviously you look inward and you just simply say, well, you're being lazy. You just you're not doing what you're supposed to do. But as you grow older and you still have these problems and you look back on your past and you see those situations deteriorate, you understand that, it's something that probably just triggers. It's just probably a trigger-based type of situation. Something will happen and it'll trigger you into shutting down and turning yourself back on. It's just something that just happens at random. You know what I mean? It happens at random. And being that I'm alone, isolated, stuck in this space where I kind of crave isolation based on who knows what. It's a number of things that make me want to be by myself. It's hard to really make it this way. And maybe there are a lot of options, the working from home, things of that nature, that I'm open to doing. I'm open to starting that process, but I need money to get that started. You know what I mean? Money that I don't necessarily have unless I sell shares to get that process going. So, I talked to a good friend of mine yesterday, the same friend that I was telling you guys that helped me get this apartment. And she was trying to talk me out of being so defeatist as it pertains to not seeing any options and looking at death as an option to kind of, get this out the way. And I'm believing what she's saying, you know what I mean? I'm not suicidal at this point. I don't think that. It's just you get to a point where you don't really see no other way. And your brain won't let you do nothing. My brain is not allowing me to just say, all right, we got to get outside. We got to hustle. Like, no, my brain is telling me, no, this is the safer position for you to be in. This is the safer space for your mind. And it's like, no, it's not. It's obviously not. So, that's why these therapy sessions are so important, because I believe whatever it is that I got going on is rare. That's basically the moral of the story. I think whatever I have or whatever it is that I suffer from, I've never heard or seen anything like it. And that's why I think it's so very important to document it. I'm not a psychological professional, obviously. I'm not somebody who studied this stuff, but I am somebody who's very keen on mental illness as it pertains to looking around and seeing the various examples of different things that I've, just seen in life through others and whatever, just observation. I pay a very close attention to mental health situations, and I realize, mine is one I haven't seen before. I ain't never seen nobody who knows what they need to do, sees the house burning down, but still won't leave the house. You know what I mean? Sees the fruit in working hard, knows that if he doesn't, everything falls apart. It will still allow it to fall apart. It's like there's something very, very wrong here, man. And it's like, it doesn't reflect my values as a man. It doesn't reflect how I think you should build. It doesn't reflect my principles and how I was raised. My mother wasn't like this. You know what I mean? She went to work every day. My father, one of the hardest workers I knew of, get up at 4 a.m. and drive 100 miles just to get to work, come home, and then raise children at night, only sleep for a couple hours. Like, I watched him do this when I'd be over there. I wasn't raised to be who I've become, I think. And I don't like making excuses for myself. I don't like telling you guys it's trauma that caused me this, it's that. But honestly, I just don't know what it is. And I'm sick of it ruining my life. You know what I mean? Honestly. And I don't see no way out of it. Only thing that I can see for myself is, finding a way to get a whole lot of money at once, which is what AMC represents. An opportunity to do that, so that I can kind of not have to worry about where my next meal is coming from while I go through what it is that I go through in life. It's just 37 years of this. It's like, and that's what I was trying to explain to my friend. It's like, I could see if this was the first time I'm going through this. You know what I mean? And then you can look at it and say, okay, he needs to just get some help and pull through it. But what I'm telling you guys is, I've been going through this since I was, I think the first time I started feeling this way was probably like 10 years old, something like that. As to where I would let my school my school records are horrible, y'all. Straight F's all the time. After, I wouldn't say 10, maybe a little older than that. 11, 12, something like that, junior high. I just stopped caring about school. I stopped going to school. And it wasn't nothing that was going to get me there. Not the fear of not being able to have an education, not the concerns of whether my mom was going to be disappointed or whoop my butt or nothing like that. People telling me how bad life would be, seeing homeless people on the street who didn't have anything, seeing people had be successful because they had an education and things of that nature. None of that stuff shook me out of the notion that staying home was the way for me to go. And as I got older, same thing would happen in certain key instances. Just shut down, stay home, be home, never leave, unless it was something I needed to do. And then when I would leave the house, super anxiety. Like right now, I thought I would need to walk down the street to put my appeal in the mailbox. I was having deep anxiety about that. Like, anxiety about walking down the street. And this is coming from somebody who's lived a whole life where he's done all kinds of stuff outside. But for whatever reason, when I get into those triggers, when I get triggered into this space, I can't turn it off. Like I literally cannot turn that off. And so it's just like, you stop beating yourself up. You stop hating yourself about it. You stop listening to others' assessment of what you're doing, and letting that barrel on your shoulders. So I think that's where the breakthrough has been for me. It's just like, okay, I hold myself accountable. I believe I've done all these things. I believe it's my choices that led all this to happen. But that from which those choices come from is not a healthy space. That from which those choices come from is a place of deep, deep fear, I guess, deep anxiety, deep confusion, and a war within myself that I'm not winning. I'm not winning this war, And so it's like you can blame, others as it pertains to certain things not falling in place. Maybe I can blame EDD for not having more leniency for me. What good is that? That's not real. I can blame the hedge funds for not allowing the stock to rise. But I knew what I was getting into. I should have sold out earlier if that was going to be something that was going to deter me from holding my shares and ultimately being a part of this. I signed up for that. You know what I mean? The way I look at AMC is, and it's what I'm telling people now, this is not something that you get into if you're looking to make quick money. This is something you get into because you want to protest corruption, because you feel and understand and believe that if you don't do this, they will continue to do whatever it is that they're doing, funding whatever it is they're funding, and continue to rob the world's people, not just the American people, the world's people. So it's something that I've stood on. You know what I mean? It's something that I hold true, and it represents the opportunity for me to leave something behind that isn't this. You know what I mean? Like, if it does what it's supposed to do, I will have made a nice fortune for my family. You know what I mean? I would have put my family in a position to have something that represents myself in a way that helps them going forward. And I can't bring myself to do anything else because of this sickness or these choices or however you define it. So it's like, that's what I can do. I can leave them that. I can say that if nothing else, their relative was an AMC ape who stood for something, even through the midst of his own mental challenges, I guess you can say, through his own financial challenges as well. And this is what I could do, right? But if I can't make it through today, you know what I mean? How can I hold my shares? How can I be a soldier in this fight if I can't make a living for myself? You know what I mean? So mental health issues have robbed me, I guess. Or if you don't believe I have mental health issues, a lot of people don't believe that. My mother wasn't really buying that either, based on the fact that I would be able to snap out of that at certain times, based on the fact that I would do other things that I wanted to do, based on the fact that when it got too hot, a lot of the times I would respond, or after things had fallen apart, I would be able to pick up the pieces. That would make someone think that I'm not sick. I don't know. I've never been diagnosed, but one thing I can tell you is I've been at war with myself my entire life. It's all been internal, and it has been a war I've been failing to win a good majority of the time. And so my anxiety is at an all-time high, my stress is at an all-time high, but my love for myself is at an all-time high because I'm not confused about my willingness to work. It's not a willingness, it's a fight within myself. And I've lost once again. You take losses, man. And sometimes, when you have mental health issues, you will take losses. Sometimes when you have overwhelming stress, you will take losses. And it's no one's fault. It's just a product of what it is. I can't really say what caused this. I think I know. But without being diagnosed with anything, you just don't know. You need a professional to kind of let me know what it is. And so that has yet to happen. So yeah, man, I can tell you guys I don't want to die today. I feel great as far as my body and my love for self is cool. I'm good. It's just yet another consequence of not winning this battle within myself. And you got to think, if I'm feeling like this, if I become a professional, what type of professional would I be? My heart's not in it, my mind's not in it. Even if I win this war, I go out there, how long will I be able to do it? The moment somebody says something to me I don't like, I'll probably just shut down again. You know what I mean? Not to say that I'm looking forward to that being the case, because I'm hopeful that wouldn't be the case. I'm hopeful I can go out there right now, apply for a job, get it, be there every day, and be happy about it. You know what I mean? But that's just not what the history tells me of myself. You know, I'm usually able to hold down a job if it's good enough. I find friends up there, that kind of thing. I held down a job for 3 years that I liked, but at the end, I was so miserable from that position that I walked away from that at the drop of a hat. You know, I remember being at Park Place, which was a place that I worked for the 3 year span, and I remember the last day I worked there, they had, you know, moved my position from what I was doing to something else because they wanted to move someone who was performing poorly into the position that I was in. It was politics, and it was beyond me at that point. So I got the worst of it, and you know, once they did that, it was just like I remember sitting out in front of a pool area, wiping down some pool seats, and sun shined on me a certain way, and I just walked away from the job, like literally. The sun shined on me, and I just looked at the person next to me and said, I quit, and I left. Like, that's usually how this goes. So it's like, I go to the beat of my own drum because that's all I know how to do. That's all my mind will allow me to do. Once I find myself to a point where I'm done with something, I'm literally done with it. And that's exactly how it's become with security. Even though I bought my security license, I have no intention of using it. The only reason why I even purchased it was out of fear for something like this happening and needing to work. So luckily I have it, I can, but it's the point, like my mind is saying, nah, we're not going back to do that. We'd rather die. We would rather not be on earth than do that. And you know, that's not sane. As even hearing myself say it, it's not sane. But that's exactly what my brain is telling me. So it's like, I don't know what to do. You know, I don't feel like someone who has it all under control, even though I'm sober, haven't smoked any weed, don't do any drugs. But it's just like you have to find yourself in this cycle, you know? And for all the things that I think are wrong with me, I also have extreme gifts that make me want to continue to work on those and those passions that are wrapped up in those gifts. This Laker thing, for example, you know, the playlist curation project that I've been doing for the last 5 years or so, 4 years ago, which I love dearly. You know what I mean? It's Thursday, which means new music comes out tonight. Can't wait. It's like, it's a lot of things that I didn't have when I was struggling those other times that are now in my life that make me feel great about living. But if I find myself homeless without a phone, all of that's gone, and I'm just stuck here with my sadness, you know, and my regrets for not being able to fix my situation. So, you know, I mean, what can I say, man? I'm a struggling person, and I'm too old to be going through these struggles, I think, too. It's like, you would have loved to have seen myself get this under control many years ago, but that too is part of the problem, you know? That too is part of the problem. So my friend said you should probably check into a mental health institution or something, you know what I mean? But my mind ain't gonna let me do that either. To be completely honest with you, that's a choice that would help my situation, and apparently those choices are the choices that my brain won't let me use, allow me to make. So, you know, I'm just sitting here trying to figure out if I can call my grandparent, who may be able to help me financially, but then to what end? You know what I mean? I'll still have that run out, and at some point, we'll have to face this demon for which I'll have to win that battle in order to keep it going. So it's like, I don't know what to do. You know, you get to a point where you don't feel like you have any options. You know what I mean? You get to a point where you don't have any help. You get to a point where you want to allow yourself the options that you do have. You know, it's a vicious cycle of I don't know what it is. I don't really know what to call it. I guess it would be self-destruction, maybe. I don't know. You know, but in the spirit of what I desire, I don't want my situation to fall apart. So is it really that? I don't know. Just don't see no way. Don't see no way, man. But I'm strong in that same breath. As you can see, I'm not sitting here breaking down. You know what I mean? As sad as I am and as defeated as I feel, I'm standing, you know. I got another Laker video to do today. I'll make sure I get it to you, even though I'm a little off my game. And, you know, I'll make those playlists and just see what the world brings, man. Maybe the stock goes to the moon and this saves me from my situation. I'll praise God about it, tell you guys how wonderful it was, tell you how worth it may have been or not. But, you know, you get to a point where you start wondering if you're going to make it there. You know what I mean? That's where I'm at now. It's like, am I going to even live to see that? You know? Because I can tell you the truth. I'm not a homeless person. All of the stuff that I've seen in Santa Monica Place of people walking around there, walking in the same clothes every day, you know, being miserable, screaming to the top of their lungs, being all sad and stuff. I'm never going to allow myself to get to that point. And that's something I'm just going to tell y'all right now. It's not going to happen. So it's like, what do I do? What do I do? You know, I don't know. I don't know. And it's funny because it's like the things that I do, that I love to do, people are making money off of that. You know, this playlist stuff, people make playlists. I don't know. I don't think it's I don't think it is a honorable thing for me to say that I think I'm better than everybody else at what it is that I do, but I can't say I'm competitive. I'm competitive in the fields of what it is that I do. Uh, you know, and I see that there are people making money doing it. And if I were healthier, I would probably be in those mixes. You know what I mean? Doing those same things in a way that makes money. But I have passion. And I think that passion is ultimately something that I don't want to mix with money, mix with pleasure or what have you. I guess that's a byproduct of me standing in my own way once again. You feel me? It's probably the same spirit of whatever the sickness is or what have you. So, you know, I tell you guys, pray for people who go through what I'm going through. It'll trickle down to me. I never tell you to pray for me because at the end of the day, if it's only a blessing that comes my way, then when I go, it's gone. But if you trickle it into others, it can be passed on to others. So pray for people who are going through what I'm going through and beyond, because there are people going through a lot worse situations than me without a lot less hope than I feel at this moment. And so that's what I got to say, man. You know, I'm very fortunate to be alive. I'm very fortunate to still have my apartment at this moment. The car is gone. Don't have a path to getting that. I'm very fortunate to still have my shares. I'm still in that fight as of right now. And that's all I can really say for myself, you know. And I'm handling not having marijuana throughout these stresses pretty good. I can tell you that, you know, for somebody who constantly smokes weed to keep himself at a space that's stable, for someone who doesn't have it, I'm proud of myself. I'm doing well without it. So, you know, we'll see what happens, man. You know, I'm finding my fight. I think that's what I'm trying to say to myself at this point. It's like I'm not in a space where I don't have any fight. If I didn't have any fight, I wouldn't have called this morning to get confirmation. You know what I mean? That's a breakthrough for me in terms of small baby steps in fixing my situation, or small baby steps in the right direction. You know, I haven't called about the car. I haven't called my family yet, but I did communicate with my friends. So those are steps in the right direction. So, yeah, man, for those who may be worried about me, I'm worried about me too, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, I'm worried about me too. Because I just don't know how much longer I'm gonna allow myself to go through this. I mean, to put myself through this, you know. And it's not for lack of love. It's just you just get to a point where you just don't have any sight for a path through this stress and through these concerns, and you don't see a way to make people really understand that you mean better than you're showing. That's the part that's really depressing, and it has always been depressing. It's like, yo, I really mean better than I'm able to display. And so I guess that's what the therapy sessions are for. It's just to hopefully leave that for everyone to see, to know that I believe in hard work, to know that I believe in not allowing your situation to get worse, to know that I believe in beating the odds and having faith through circumstances that seem ridiculously bad. You know what I mean? Or getting through what you're going through. There are people in jail right now for stuff they didn't do. There's people in abusive households. There's people, as I said, outside with nothing left. There's people who don't have no food to eat. There's people who want to work but can't seem to get hired. Like, I'm not trying to thumb my nose at any of those people with the way that I've allowed my situation to go. I want to honor all of y'all by winning this battle. I just don't know how. And that's how it's been since I was a small child. So that's what it is, man. That's what it is. And yeah, that's I guess what I have to say. I don't want people to walk away from this situation thinking that this is the last video or that I'm gonna hurt myself or something like that. We're not there. We are not there at all. But what I can tell you is this is yet another cycle in a pattern that has been going on for a very long time that nobody I've known nor myself has been able to make any sense of or help me through. And I am at a point where I am very deeply tired of this cycle. It's that simple. I'm tired of watching my life disappear or things that I have fall apart without any real grasp on how to make myself do what I know I should. That is just hard to watch. It's hard to live through. So be fortunate if you have it within yourself to fix your problem and you're sitting back and you are lazy. For me, please try. Do you understand what I'm saying? Please try. Because, or if there's something you're putting off, you're procrastinating on something, please try. Because I see the fruit in doing so, and I'm not winning the battle of making myself do those things. So for me, if you have it in you and you're just being lazy, get up, give yourself an opportunity, man. Because I would love to be able to turn that part of myself on right now and get my ass out there and work hard. I would love to. BDF 44.